All right, boys and girls. So this last unit that we are going to be doing is on geometry, and we are going to be learning all of these things, including a few other things. But these are the main big ideas that we're going to be doing in this chapter. First is points, lines, and rays. We're going to be talking about that today. We're also going to be talking about parallel, intersecting, and perpendicular lines today, as well as angles. These other three we will be working with later. So here's our first thing that we're going to be learning about today. This right here, one important vocabulary word for geometry is a point. And that is an exact location that is represented by a dot. It's called a point. So here we have this dot right here. I don't know if my mouse is working on here, if you can see it or not. But we've got this black dot. It looks like a period. And then it's got an X on top of it. That right there is called a point. And this can be written as point X because since there's a letter X on it, that's what the point is called. It's called point X. Okay? So a dot is a point. We also have this line right here. And now the definition is a straight set of points that extend in opposite directions without ending is called a line. If you notice over here, there's an arrow. That's representing that on the left, this arrow is showing that this line can go on forever. It's going on forever in that direction. And then on the right, we have another arrow and it's going in that direction forever. So if we have a line right here with two arrows pointing, one arrow is pointing to the left, one arrow is pointing to the right, that means that it is in fact a line because a line can go on forever. It's kind of cool. So this line, do we see we have 2 points right here? We have point A and point B. Now, typically lines have 2 points like this, and that way we can establish a name for this line. And down here it says this can be written as line AB or AB with the line on top of it represents line AB, okay? So this right here is line AB. That's what we would call it based off of what it's called, what the letters say it is. So this is a line with the letters AB, so it's line AB. It's that simple. Okay. Now this line, this right here is not a line because it's very similar to a line because look, it has one arrow on the right that is going on forever. However, there's no line with an arrow going on forever on the left. So the definition of this, it says a part of a line that has one endpoint, so A right here is an endpoint, and extends in one direction without ending. So we have an endpoint, which is the point, and then it goes on forever in one direction. This, my friends, is called a ray. Okay? A space ray, not array, but it is ray. Okay? R-A-Y. This right here is called ray A-B. This can be written as ray AB or AB with the ray symbol on top of it. Okay? Here we have, it's a little bit different. Notice how this has two endpoints. It's a part of a line between two endpoints. So there are two endpoints right here, endpoint A and endpoint B. That is called a line segment. Okay? So far we have a point, a line that goes on forever in both directions, a ray that has an endpoint and goes on forever in one direction, and we have a line segment that has 2 points and it does not go on forever in any direction. Okay? So those are all of our lines here. We've got 3 here, 3 examples. This first one is LM. That would be called line LM because it goes on forever in both directions. Do we see that? LM. This QR would be called a ray because it has a point and then it goes on forever in one direction. That would be called ray QR. Now we have over here YZ. That is called a line segment because it has a dot or a point on both ends and it does not go on forever in either direction. Okay, so that is called segment YZ. Now, here are some more. We've got JK, that would be called ray JK, okay? Because it goes on in one direction. Now, ST looks like it has two endpoints. That makes it a line segment. It's called line segment ST. This one, the line, it goes on forever in both directions, so it would simply be called line OP. We've got array, segment, and a line. Okay? Now, so we've talked about lines. Now we are going to be talking about if we have multiple lines. And in this picture, we have what are called parallel lines. Those are lines that are always the same distance apart, and they are obviously lines. See how both sides are going, both the left and the right have an arrow that makes the line go on forever. So they are lines that will never meet and never cross, ever. Even if, like, because imagine this line goes on continually forever, and so does this line, they will never cross, okay? Those are called parallel lines, and I always like to think of it as like an equal sign. It's a parallel line. Here's a little trick. This is the symbol for parallel right here. It's kind of like the two L's in the word parallel. You see how the two L's are side by side there? It's almost like, it's exactly like parallel lines. And this yellow thing right here looks like two L's. That's the symbol for parallel lines. So here, the two side by side L's in the word parallel can help me to remember its symbol. Okay, we also have intersecting lines. These are not like parallel lines. These lines cross each other. Okay, so lines that meet or crossing each other are called intersecting lines. There is no special symbol for intersecting lines. GH is simply intersecting line EF. Okay, so we have talked about parallel lines, lines that will never meet. They are always the same distance apart. We have intersecting lines, lines that cross each other. And now we have more specifically perpendicular lines. These are lines that meet or cross each other and form square corners. So we see how this line DE crosses QR and it makes like a square corner, or like it looks almost like a plus sign right here. Okay. And this symbol right here, there's like a square right here. That means it's a square corner. So that if you ever see that, that means it's a perpendicular line. All right? This is the symbol for perpendicular. It looks like a wall almost, a wall with like a line in between it. So that you have two squares right here. It looks like two squares. Okay, can you write a sentence using symbols to describe the image below? Okay, can you write a sentence using symbols to describe the image below? Well, we can do that. We could say line QR is perpendicular to line DE. Okay? All right, so describe each image. This first one, line DE intersects line TU. Line, and over here, the second one, line BC is parallel to line FG. Okay? All right, describe each image. So same thing. So we have line YZ, and YZ is what to KL? It is, oh, look, it makes a box. So therefore, it is perpendicular. It's called perpendicular when they cross specifically like that, very nice and evenly, so that it creates a box. It also looks like a plus sign. Okay, over here we have GH and RS. It does not look like they are crossing at all. They will also never cross, so that means that they are parallel. So line GH and line RS are parallel. Here's the symbol for that. Okay, here are some more examples. We have line LM and line UV. They are parallel. Okay, we have line RS and line KL. They are perpendicular. They make this nice square box shape right here, the plus sign. Okay. These aren't parallel. They're also not perfectly perpendicular. So line LM and line OP just simply intersect. They're just intersecting lines. Now FG and WX, they are perpendicular. You notice this square box symbol right here? That means it forms a box right there. Okay, so we've talked so far about different types of, we've got points, lines, rays, and segments. We've also got intersecting, parallel, and perpendicular lines. Got a lot of new things this lesson. So bear with me here. And again, you can always rewatch this video because I know it has a lot of information, and sometimes it's good to pause and then come back and kind of hear more information. So next, the last thing we're going to talk about in today's lesson are angles, okay? And now I think, I'm pretty sure you've talked about these in 3rd grade, but it's been a long time. So I'm going to give you a really good overview, okay? So an angle is a shape that is formed when two rays have the same endpoint. You see how this picture right here has 2 rays? And look, they're sharing that endpoint right there. So that, when you combine those 2 rays, make an angle. It's really cool. So this angle right here from this line to this line would make an angle. An angle is measured by the amount of rotation or turning from one ray to another. So this angle, so like this line to this line, that angle, it's also what's called like the box angle, right? That would be 90 degrees right there. This angle it almost looks, it looks exactly like just a straight line, right? With like an endpoint in the middle. It's called a straight line. That angle from one side to another, it's like a half circle. That angle would be 180 degrees. It's like half a circle. Okay. Now this is really cool. Now, if some of you are bike riders or you like to do like cool wheelies or something, when you do a full spin or a full circle, it's also called a 360. And that's because when you go from when you have a starting point and you go all the way around and you measure the angle back to where you started, a full circle has a degrees of 360 degrees. That is the angle measurement, okay? So we have here 90, and then we have 180, and a full circle will always be 360 degrees, okay? Angles can be classified depending on their angle measurements, right? Okay, so remember how these had these 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 360 degrees? Every angle has what's called a degree, okay? This symbol right here, remember that? It was for like if we have lines that are perpendicular. That creates what's called a right angle. And any right angle should usually have one of these box markers that just kind of tells you, hey, this is a right angle. All right angles will always measure 90 degrees, okay? So a right angle, or even if it's like on the other side, if it were to have that box symbol, it would be a 90-degree angle, okay? So that's called a right angle. An angle that is less than that, that's less than that right angle. So see how this is, a right angle would have another ray right here, straight up. But since you see how it's smaller, it looks almost like a mouth, like a little mouth. It's called an acute angle, and I always like to think about it as, oh, it's little, it's small, it's a cute angle, it's small. So an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. Okay. Excuse me. Now, an obtuse, I always think like obese, big, obtuse, means that it's going to be bigger than 90 degrees. But remember that straight line that was 180 degrees right here? The middle circle, from one end to another, a half circle. An obtuse angle measures more than 90, but not, more than 90, but less than 180. It can't be more than a straight line, if that makes sense, okay? So it's going to be something bigger than 90 degrees, basically. It's big. It's a really wide angle. Acute angle is small, and a right angle is exactly straight up and straight across, like a perpendicular angle, and it makes the square, the square symbol. Okay, so we have more examples right here. Acute, it's this small little angle. It's really, really little. Obtuse, it's bigger than 90 degrees. It's obese, obtuse. We have a right angle. Look, in that's shown by the square right there. We have another obtuse big angle over here. We have a right angle right here with that with that square symbol shape. Right angle, it's a 90-degree angle. And we have an acute angle, which is smaller than 90 degrees. Okay, we have some cool little shapes that you can see. Everything basically that is in 3D or 2D has what's called an angle, what we've been talking about. So in this box, we can see an angle right here. That box would make a right angle. And look at this ice cream cone, makes an acute angle. It's smaller than 90 degrees. It's a cute one. And then this tent right here makes what's called an obtuse angle. I almost said obese because it's big, obtuse angle. Okay? It's more than 90 degrees. Here are some more examples. Here are some drawings. So here's a right angle. It's got the square thing representing that it's 90 degrees. Obtuse means that it is bigger than 90 degrees. It's a big one. And the little acute, it's a little angle. It's smaller than 90 degrees. Okay? So that is our video for today. I'm going to have you go on and practice with some of these line segments, rays, and what's the other one? I think that's it for that. And then I'm going to have you practice parallel and perpendicular and intersecting lines and also some of these angles, okay? Good luck. You're awesome. Keep up the good work. Bye.